Welcome to the prestigious program that is being organized by AP State Council of Higher Education for last 2.5 years, initiated by our person K. Hemchandra Reddy Garu, Chairman AP State Council of Higher Education, to inculcate the habit of book reading among the students, those who are very busy with their own schedules. Because the book reading habit is getting off from the system. So he has taken an appropriate measure to introduce Telugu as well as English books on a weekly basis on every Friday at 3 to 4 p.m., which will be available in the YouTube channel of APSCHE of the book. Okay. Today we have with us, today is the 120th episode in English. The book review is Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life, written by Hector Garcia and Francis Morales. So the reviewer of the book is a student of PhD student of IKIGAI University, Miss Nidhi DM. She is a research scholar in the School of English Language Education at the English and Foreign Language University of Hyderabad. She pursued her MA in English Language Study from the University of Hyderabad after completing her Bachelor's in Arts and Education from the Regional Institute of Education NCERT in Mysore. Since she also working as a mentor and a volunteer with the Mind and Matter, an NGO that works closely with the underprivileged children. Being a language enthusiast, she is also a bibliophile who believes that books can open doors to all of learning. So the book Ikigai is going to be reviewed by Ms. Nidhi from IFLU, now we can call it as. Now I leave it to Nidhi to review the book Ikigai.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm extremely happy that I am here today on this prestigious program of book reviewing. I first of all would like to thank the chairman of Andhra Pradesh State Council of Higher Education for organizing such a thoughtful program and bringing up people to talk about various books every week. And I'm happy that both the program has been conducted in both the languages, Telugu as well as English, throughout every week throughout the month. So I believe that reading is exercises to body, which means that it's very essential to read, and books open doors to a lot of opportunities and a variety of knowledge that otherwise you might miss out on. But it is sad that these days most people are very busy in their own routines, or they are stuck to their mobile phones, have alternate sources of getting information or enriching the knowledge, that they are slightly lagging behind and going towards books and reading books, physical books especially. But then this innovative program is encouraging students and others to come together to review books, to read books, and to encourage others to share their knowledge. So I'm very happy today to be a part of this program. And today the book that I will be reviewing is Ikigai. I will take a minute to share my screen, please. Yes, I hope the screen is visible and I can proceed. All right. So the book that has been chosen for review today is Ikigai by Hector Garcia and Francis Morales. So this book it says it's the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. So it must have been, it is a very popular book. So most of you might have, if not read the book, heard about it at least, or heard people quoting certain things from this book, because it has been in the talk of the town when it was published, and even now. So before we look at what this book talks about and what are the details that we see, what is the new thing that we're going to learn from this book, let us take a quick look at the details of it. So the title Ikigai, what does it actually mean? So Ikigai means the purpose of life, the purpose of being. What is the meaning of life, or what is the reason that you are leading a life? What is the purpose for you to live? And in the book, it says, what is the purpose for you to wake up every day and do what you're doing? Uh, it was written together, co-authored by Hector Garcia and Francis Mirels. So both of these are Spanish writers, and they have come together, collaborated to write. This is the first book that they collaborate to write. And we will talk about them later and how this book came into being, how did they visualize the writing of this book, and what went into the creation of something of this sort. It was published earlier. The first edition came originally in Spanish. Both these authors are from Spain. In 2016, it was published again it was translated to English and came out. Penguin Books brought it out in 2017 for the world to read. uh, it became so popular, it gained popularity so quickly that it was translated to various languages, almost 57 languages, out of which the major Indian languages are also included. It was also translated to Telugu a few years ago, and for the people to read and see what this talks about. Uh, it falls under the genre of a self-help book, or you can say a motivational book or a personality development book. This genre is lately very currently in uh, trend, or a mostly read and liked by readers all over, because not just it gives you the kind of knowledge that you can use in your own life. It does not give you just tips to lead a certain kind of life, but also talks about things that you certainly know. Most of the times there are things that you know, or the things you know but you don't know how to incorporate in the life, in your own lives. So it acts as a guide, or it acts as an eye opener to various readers, who then employ the techniques or strategies or the ideas that the authors try to present through these books. Moving on to talking about the authors of the book, I told you that it was co-authored by Hector Garcia and Francis Mirels. So these two are authors who have been writing earlier in various genres. Hector Garcia was initially in the IT department. He used to work as an engineer, but later he understood, he realized his interest towards writing and towards discovery of certain uh, aspects of life that he thought that the world needs to know. So Hector Garcia, though he is from Spain, he moved to Japan. He is also a citizen of Japan, and he was living there and trying to understand the Eastern trends of living a healthy life, trying to understand the patterns, the social patterns, the kind of secrets, or the kind of um, the practices that they have been traditionally following, that is something that he calls as the secret to a healthy and a happy life. So initially, when he was in Japan and Francis Mirels was in Barcelona, um, a friend of theirs got them together and they met, and they shared a common interest in the area of personality development, psychology, and this made them uh, come together to collaborate to write this book, Ikigai. But this was not the first collaboration, only collaboration. After this first collaboration, they also wrote some other books, out of which Ichi is also a popular one. Apart from this, they've also written books individually. A Geek in Japan is a popular book written by Garcia. I he lived in Japan for around 10 years, and he has studied various aspects of the society, so Japanese society, and he has analyzed them, and he has synthesized thoughts and observations to arrive at theories and arrive at suggestions that he would like to present to the world, which he has done through these books. And Francis Miralles was in the beginning of his career, he began as a writer. He's been a translator. He's also written as a ghostwriter. And this Ikigai is one of his most popular books. The other ones are Love in Lowercase and Wabi Sabi, which Wabi Sabi is also about a Japanese tradition, a Japanese idea, which we will be discussing later. So these are some of their seminal works. Okay, before we understand or we look at what this book is talking about, or why is it relevant to us, let's take a look at the context of why was this book written, what is it about, and how did they arrive at bringing out a book of this sort. So, as I told you that they shared a common interest in the area of psychology and personality development, personal development. They once met in Japan, after which in Tokyo, and they talked about various things related in this area. And they were curious about Japan's centenarians. Centenarians are people who have lived for 100 years or above. So, while discussing about these people and their lifestyles and what has made them live so long and kept them so happy, they also discussed Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, about which we will be talking later, and they also discuss about it later in the book, and draw connection between logotherapy and Ikigai in the later chapters of the book. So this is why they came to write about it. And then what is this book all about? It is about Ikigai. As I told you, it is something that gives you a sense of purpose or meaning, or it is something that tells you why you should be leading your life, or what is it that makes you uh, get up every day and go to work, do something that you are doing. So it, in a way, decodes the secret of long and happy life of these Japanese people. So in order to write this book, in order to understand and study what is happening here, the authors went to Ogimi, the village of longevity. It's in the region of Okinawa in Japan, and they try to live with them. They live with the people there. They observed the lifestyle of people. They observed various things about their foods, their daily activities, their work culture, and what do they think about things, their thoughts and attitudes. And they also conducted certain interviews with peoples, with centenarians especially, and also other people in the area. Oh, and the findings of this study has inspired the ideas of the book. Although it seems like a very elaborate study that they have done, they have stayed and they've collected so much data all over their period of the study, they have simplified it in such a way that the readers can conveniently understand what are they talking about and what they have found through their stay and study. The theme of this book, Ikigai, what is it talking about? It explores the concept of Ikigai, which is a Japanese philosophy revolving around finding one's purpose and living a fulfilling life. So, if you look at the studies or the surveys that have been done throughout, ranging from a large period of time, so you will see that most of the longest living people are from the eastern part of the world, and specifically you will see that the Japanese culture has been very popular. The Japanese ideologies are making sound all over the world, because of which they try to come here and they explore, they discover this concept of Ikigai, which they try to explore through their study. And as I told you earlier, they looked at the lifestyle of people and see what is making them lead a happy life. So, the themes that you can see running through the chapters of the book are mindfulness, sense of community, a quest for meaning. There are more things like how to lead a healthy life, a healthy, sound mind, and a healthy body. All this is somehow the book navigates the reader to towards the path of living a conscious life. Let's take a quick look at the content of the book. What are the chapters and what does it talk about? So the first chapter is called Ikigai, the art of staying young while growing old. This chapter talks about a lot about the people who are just aging in terms of number, but if you talk to them you will feel the zeal of living, the zeal of life that is alive in them. And even if you talk to 100-year-old, you will feel like they are just 10-year-old or 15-year-old, just the happy children, without any worry, playing in the playground is the kind of attitude that you will have towards the end of the conversation. So it talks about how they have managed to retain the spirit of youth in them. And the second chapter is talking about anti-aging secrets, little things that add up to a long and happy life. So if people are trying to retain their youth, or if the people are trying to stay happy for such a long period of time, it is not happening without any reason. So there are small things, little habits, little practices, or little traditions that are helping them live such a life. So these secrets are revealed in this chapter. And then the next talks about from logotherapy to ikigai, how to live longer and better by finding your purpose. So as I told you earlier, logotherapy is a psychotherapy that was proposed by Viktor Frankl, and ikigai relates closely to this idea of logotherapy. So they draw parallels between logotherapy and ikigai, and also tell you what are the things that you can adopt from the philosophy of logotherapy, and what is it that makes ikigai different or vibrant, and the something new compared to logotherapy. The other chapter talks about find flow in everything you do, how to turn work and free time into spaces of growth. So finding flow in everything is you do is all about finding joy in the things you do. It could be work or it could be leisure. Then masters of longevity, words of wisdom from the longest living people in the world. So this study I told you that they did was mostly like an ethnographic study where they went and lived with the people. So most of their ideas come from the interaction between the centenarians and the local people, and also everybody that they could live there and interact with. So these words of wisdom, or some quotes or ideas that came directly from the people living in Okinawa, has been quoted in the chapter, and something that we can adopt in our lives. Lessons from Japan's centenarians, traditions and proverbs for happiness and longevity. So out of all the studies, whatever they have found, they have compiled it into this chapter and given it a gist of all the things that we can adopt, and maybe at least live a happier and a more satisfied life. So another aspect of it is mostly food. So the chapter 7 talks mostly about what these people are eating and drinking, what are the food habits, what are the things that they do not eat, and what are the things that they eat. And the eighth chapter being talking about the exercises, the how they manage to keep their body healthy. And the last one talks about resilience and wabi sabi. Wabi sabi is the concept on which the other book that I was told I told you that it has been written. that talks about wabi sabi, about which we will look into in detail later. So it talks about how you can face challenges. There are a lot of worry, there is always stress in your life, but what are the strategies that you can adopt to live happily despite all the worry and stress that you have? So now let's look into detail what's the, maybe we can have a gist of each chapter and what are the things that they want us readers to know. So Ikigai, the art of staying young while growing old, tells us in about things that you have to keep in your mind while you stay healthy, while you can still stay healthy. So this says that most of the things that you can do are not something physical or something that you can adopt from the outside. These are just attitudes and thoughts that you can adopt. So in the first thing that comes into your mind after you understand what is ikigai, which is the reason to wake up in the morning, or the sole purpose of life, is, do we all know our ikigai? Do we know what is our purpose of life? Well, some might already know it, while might some might be still searching for their own ikigai. So here the authors give us a small diagram, a small framework that helps us understand or helps us discover our own ikigai. If you can look at this diagram here, it says that there are 4 areas in which your ikigai has to uh, be appropriate in order to adopt it and in order to hold on to it. The first one is mission, then you have vocation, profession, and passion. All something that you do must be something that you like doing in all these areas. So it should be something what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and also something that you are good at. Only when all this happens, you will be able to enjoy that and hold on to it throughout your life. So what happens when somebody finds their ikigai? Um, Here they say that in the book, that when you find your ikigai, there is no need to retire. Now we have this, of course, we have the retirement trend in our countries, and in most of the countries, we after an age of 60, after you have served in your profession for so long, it is considered as a time that you take a break. But the Japanese believe that you need not retire until your body stops helping you, or stops accompanying you, or stops does not allow you to work anymore. Until that point arrives, the person can continue to work, and the person can continue to do what they love to do, and they can continue to contribute to the profession that they are in. So the first suggestion that comes out in this book is don't retire. And if you don't, if it is not required to retire, then you should be doing or working on something that you love doing. So when you love your job, you would not want to retire, and the more you love your job, the more you would want to do it. Uh, so these people that I have talked about, that the centenarians, or the people who have lived longest, more than 100 years old, there are certain places, there are certain studies that have picked up certain geographical regions where they have found the longest living people. So in this book, they talk about a few blue zones, out of which Okinawa in Japan is the first blue zone, which has the highest number of longest living people. So when you talk to them, they give you 3, you can call it sutras for happy life, and the long living life. The first thing is not to retire. The second, they give you a 80% secret. Now, what is this 80% secret? 80% secret is related to your diet. Most of us, when we sit for a meal, especially when it's something that is served that you relish eating, something very delicious, it could be a biryani, or it could just be anything that is, it's a festival and there's so much made. We tend to eat a lot, eat so much that you don't even realize that you are full. Even after your stomach is full, we stuff ourselves with so much because we want to satisfy our taste buds. But the Japanese have a formula where they say that you eat slowly and eat consciously and stop eating when your stomach is 80% full. So what happens then is you do not overeat. So this is related to diet that they give as one of the sutras. And the third one is Maui, which is Mauis are actually, you can, in the contemporary terms, you can translate them to clubs. It's a group of people who have a common interest and come together uh, to share a certain kind of, they do have common interest, and they also share some kind of emotional and financial comfort. They comfort each other in such a way. So they are mostly uh, communities that come together to support each other. So they think that these three things keep them going for long. One is to not retire, the other is the 80% secret of diet, and the last one is to stay connected with people for life. Moving on to the second chapter, which is the anti-aging secrets, little things that add up to a long and happy life. It's the book here is very interesting because it provides you different kinds of narratives, and it also gives you different kinds of presents you information through different forms, sometimes through tables, sometimes through charts, sometimes through diagrams, and sometimes to some kind of comparisons or metaphors. Here now, the authors are talking about aging, escape velocity, and the rabbit. In simple terms, I tell you what they're talking about. Generally, what we believe is that when we all humans have a certain, we are all mortals, so we have a certain period of time that we will live, and there is an age of death for each person. So in this, they say that the rabbit here is holding our age of death, and when the rabbit does not move, we are constantly moving towards our death, and so we are closer to death every year or every day, even every minute. What happens when the rabbit is holding your age of death and he holding that sign that marks your death and starts running far away from you? So what happens is the farther the faster the rabbit runs, your age starts increasing, you start living a longer life. But if every year, if the rabbit runs 1 year far away, then humans will become immortal, which is not possible. But if you want to, the book here, through this chapter, they say that they're giving you certain secrets, all these formulas or all these suggestions to make the rabbit at least walk away from you so that you can live a longer life. So the what are the things, suggestions that they give here, or what are the secrets that they reveal to the readers here? So it says that an active mind is and a youthful body. So if you have an active mind, you will have a youthful body. Most of us believe that you might see that nowadays people who are very who are very health conscious, or who are fitness freaks, tend to involve themselves in some kind of physical exercise. It could be running, it could be yoga, or some people have a habit of going to the gym and doing some kind of physical activity that keeps their body healthy. But what do we do to keep our mind healthy? So most often, reading is an excellent exercise to keep your mind healthy. Some other things are talking to people or trying new things. You might have seen people who solve sudokus or word puzzles, or even play chess or something of that sort. So the book encourages you to be engaged in an activity that will keep your mind healthy along with your body. So it says that when your mind is healthy, automatically you will have a physically fit body. Another main thing that is accused of killing longevity or is seen as a threat to a long life is stress. So if you talk to anybody today, it could be working professionals, it could be students, it could be young children, or it could be old people. Most of them talk about stress. They feel that they have some kind of stress. They feel mentally, they feel a kind of mental stress, and sometimes some people seek therapy. Some people say try out things. Some people who don't even who are unable to even explain what the stress means also will be able to tell you that they are undergoing some kind of mental stress. So what is this mental stress and how can you overcome stress? That also this book will be talking about. So it says that a lot of sitting will age you. So most of us, that this is what we're doing these days, especially people who work with systems, who work on computers more all day, are sitting for a long period of time while our nature is to walk. So the book encourages you to walk, do some physical exercise, play with children, go out to the park, uh, engage yourself in outdoor activities. And with this, it comes up with two things that you need in order to have a long life. More than physical exercise and physical fitness, it says that you need a positive attitude towards life, and you also need to be emotionally aware. If these two things complement your physical fitness, you will be able to accomplish a lot, achieve a relatively long life. The third chapter then comes to talk about logotherapy and ikigai. So, how to live longer and better by finding your purpose. Now, let's talk a little about what is logotherapy. If you if you have read the book Man's Search for Meaning, which is also an excellent book to read, if anybody is interested, can go ahead and read. It is written by Viktor Frankl. He is another psychologist who talks about logotherapy. So, logotherapy is basically a psychotherapy based on a belief that the primary motivating force in human beings is the search for meaning in life. So, it says that if you have a purpose in life, then you will have the willingness to live, the willingness to do. You will find ways to live your life. So it's about finding reasons to live. Mostly he used this approach to talk to his patients who came to him for therapy. So he would try to give them a purpose to live. As in, he would not give them, but he would try to help them recognize their own purpose to live, and make them realize that if each person has their own purpose, and it is our inner call to find our own purpose. So he believes that everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human attitudes to choose one's attitude in last of one human attitude to choose one's attitude in a given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So the one thing that cannot be taken away from any person is your attitude towards something. Suppose when you are stuck in a very difficult situation, how will you look at it? You can look at it in two different ways. You can either look at it as an opportunity to learn something and overcome, or you can look at it as an end to something, or something that you cannot come out of. So the perception matters, and attitude towards a situation and situation is what matters when it comes to finding a purpose of life. So he talks about fighting for yourself. What does it mean to fight for yourself? He does not mean that you physically fight for yourself, or instead he says that you have to fight your inner demons, your the stress, or your lack of self confidence, or your doubt in self-doubting nature. These are the inner demons that you need to overcome in order to in order to be able to stand for yourself. So when will you be able to do this? These are certain things that people believe that very difficult for somebody to achieve. So it is easy for somebody to achieve only when they know that he says that he who has a why to live for can bear with almost anyhow. So the reason will help you overcome, will help you understand uh, the the ways, or it will make you reveal that you find your ways to come out of a certain situation. So what are these things that logotherapy talks about? It says that the meaning of life is not something that you create, rather it's something that you discover, which means everybody already has a meaning, and it is only your call to discover it. All of us have a unique reason for being, and that identifying that reason will transform your lives. So it talks about your desire to uh, live and overcoming fear. So one thing that can help you do this is humor. It can help you break the negative cycles and reduce anxiety. And we all have the capacity to do noble or terrible things. It's all your decision on how you can, whether you want to do it or not. So the other chapter, it says that finding the flow in everything you do. So how to turn work and free time into spaces of growth. Now it's more like telling be water my friend, that Bruce Lee says be water my friend. Now what is this when he says be water my friend? So we each of us can do a small activity. We can just close our eyes for a moment and think of something that you love doing. What do you mean by something that you love doing? Uh, Something which you can do and you will not find that the time has passed by. You can close, you can start doing it, and even after it's been 2 hours or 3 hours, you don't feel tired, or you don't feel like you have spent a lot of time doing something. Each of us will have something of that sort. It could be cooking, or it could be playing. It could, for somebody it could be dancing, or for somebody it could be teaching, or it's different for different people, but definitely there is something that each one of us love doing, and we don't regret doing it, or we don't get tired doing it at all. So this thing that we love doing is what will help us understand or recognize our ikigai. It connects to what Albert Einstein tells us about relativity. He says, "Put your hand on hot stove, and it feels like an hour. Sit with a pretty girl for an hour, and it seems like a minute." That is relativity. So you what you love doing will not make you feel like you spent a lot of time doing it, but something that you detest doing will make you feel each minute will feel like a day. So the flow that we are talking about is a state in which people are so involved in their activity that nothing else seems to matter. So the experience itself is so enjoyable that people will do it at any cost and will not repent doing it. Now, how can you achieve this flow? So I think this chapter, out of all the chapters in the book, connects to us the most, because I would say, even if it is a student, or if it's a teacher, if it's a working professional, or anybody, uh, this is what we think about most of the times when we give a thought to what we are doing, and we really enjoy doing it. When people think about their career options, or what are their career choices, or they talk about, or they think about the disciplines that they have chosen, or even the things that they do in their free time, their leisure time. We see whether we try to understand. Sometimes we don't like it, but we don't understand why we don't like it. Or sometimes there are certain things that because of which we are forced to do it. But I think if we intend to attain this flow in our own lives, there are certain tips or certain ways that the author suggests here in order to achieve it. First one is knowing what to do, and the second is knowing how to do it. Knowing how well are you doing, where do you already stand in terms of how good you are as a performer in that area. Then knowing where to go. So you should also have a direction. You cannot do it without any reason or without any objective. So you should have a direction towards where it is leading me to, or what do I want to achieve through doing this, or where do I want to reach. The destination also matters. And perceiving significant challenges, there are certain challenges that you might face while uh, doing it. It could be your job, or it could be a passion that you're trying to um, follow. It could be anything. That there, each path will have certain hurdles, and you should have cognizance of the hurdles, and you should also know what are the skills that are required to overcome these hurdles, and being free from distractions. So there are certain things can pull you away from your path. So you should also be conscious of the ways in which you can get rid of these distractions. So what are the strategies to attain this flow? First one is to choose a difficult task. When you say a difficult task, the task should not be unattainable. The difficulty level should not be such that you cannot complete the task per se. Instead, it means that it should not be an easy task which will lead to boredom. It should be a relatively difficult task that you enjoy doing. And you should have a clear objective of why it is being done, why are you doing it, and where it is leading you towards. So having an objective is not sufficient. In order to achieve the objective, you should also focus on the process. The journey of reaching the objective or attaining your goal also becomes important in order to um, enjoy the process. And it's important to concentrate on a single task. Now this, I think, is the major problem these days, because we think that our laptop screens can at a time simultaneously carry out multiple functions, and our phones can also carry out multiple functions. But we also tend to train our mind to do this multitasking. While multitasking in one way is a good thing, multitasking in one way is a good thing, but when it comes to doing that about finding flow and finding your ikigai and doing things, so it could be something that could be your finding things that could be something that is very important to your life. It could be your career, or it could be your studies, or it could be if you're an artist, it could be your art. But when it comes to micro flow, these are the little things that we do every day. Sometimes it's just about doing laundry, washing vessels, cleaning your room, getting ready for the day. All these are little tasks in which also you need to have the same kind of attitude that you will have towards doing your work. So you the kind of perfection that you tend to attain in your career, if it helps you develop an attitude, or a kind of life that you want to lead, if all these things are incorporated in your life, then when it comes to little things like washing the dishes or doing gardening, you will have the same kind of attitude towards it. So meditation is also another thing that helps you find the flow. uh, you see that mostly somebody sportsmen or artists, or even laymen, most of the times meditation helps them gain a lot of clarity. For example, if you're into archery, then a long hour of meditation can help you focus on your work more than if you had not. And ritualistic being is about um, we are humans are all ritualistic beings. There are certain rituals that we carry out every day, and that is the process. So in order to arrive at the attain the ikigai, it's also important to have this microflow meditation and to own our own rituals every day. So certain things that one thing that is most interesting out of the book is the are the quotes or the words of wisdom that these people from Japan have from Okinawa have said during their interviews. You look at these are the responses to a very simple question, a question as simple as what is the secret to your long life. So you look at the answers, it says eat, sleep, and you'll never live a long time. At the end of the day, look at these responses. It seems like when the question was uh, presented to them, it looks like it's a huge thing. Why? What has kept you alive for so long, or what is the reason of the secret of your long lives? And people have given such simple answers. They have given they've said things that everybody does every day: just sleep and eat, or everything is fine. The So you see that the secret to a long life is simple and not very complicated, but it's a paradox in life that the simple things, these simple things for us are not simple anymore. So what some lessons that we understand, we know, learn from their lives is that you need to have a community, you need to have a communal life where you are surrounded by people. The love and affection that you share with people, and the kind of support that you gain from them, the emotional comfort, and yeah, surrounding people, good people around you every day makes every day look like a celebration. So another important thing that you see here is that the Japanese believe in the spirits of nature. So they believe that everything around them, the trees, the rivers, the forest, from spoiling or yeah, it keeps us away from destroying the nature around us and helping us live in harmony with nature. So when you look at the words that the centenarians themselves say, they say things like, don't worry. They say things that we need to follow, that is that you don't have to worry. So there is no concept of stress, there is no concept of pressure, there is no concept of trying to look at things that are being ambitious about things and worrying that you could not achieve them. So they cultivate simple good habits related to their food, related to their day-to-day activities, related to the people around them, which keeps them happy. And nurturing friendships. This is what I said, that they have communities of people around them which help them lead, help each other in emotional and different conditions, and they live in an unhurried life and be optimistic. Uh, the other chapters that you look at here, they talk about they talk about what the people eat here. So you can look at some things that I've written here, but if you relate to what the authors have most of the wisdom that they have about the lifestyle in terms of eating food habits and what they drink are all native in nature. The last chapter talks about a few things that are particularly very interesting. It talks about resilience and our ability to deal with setbacks. So it says, if at all there are situations in which you are falling behind, don't they have a never give up attitude. So if you fall 7 times, rise 8. So if this kind of positive attitude is what they encourage in their own in their own community. So that is introduced called anti-fragility. What do you mean by anti-fragility? Anti-fragility is a concept beyond resistance. The resistance, if somebody is resilient, what happens is when you pull them down, they bounce back to normal. But if you're anti-fragile, when you pull them down, they bounce back stronger and get better. So this kind of attitude will help them grow. So wabi sabi is another idea of Japanese philosophy about which the other book is written by the author. It talks about the beauty of fleeting, changing, and imperfect nature of the world around us. So it says that everything around us is impermanent, and there's nothing that will remain, or there's nothing that will stay forever. But it is our responsibility to appreciate or to accept this impermanence of things. So, what are the major takeaways from this book? So, these are certain takeaways that have been noted. One is to stay active and not retire, take your life slow, don't fill your stomach, surround yourself with good friends, stay physically fit, smile, reconnect with nature, give thanks, live in the moment, and follow your ikigai. So, certain characteristics of the book that are very impressive, which I would say, because of which I would recommend this book reading to everybody, is because it has a clear and concise language. It's very simple for anybody to comprehend what the book is trying to tell you. It has a very engaging style. For a moment, when you read it, maybe after you finish reading the first chapter, you will feel as if you had a friend who had visited Japan and has come back and telling you stories about Japan. So that is the a degree of engagement that this book holds, and it has excellent narration here and there, taking you telling you a lot of stories and anecdotes, but all has been organized and provided a very logical flow. So the presentation of the book is pretty simple and very easy for people to understand, but gives very wise words and relevant to readers. I would say that this book if at all you ask me who would I recommend this book to, I would say anybody who is able to read this book, it can be recommended to that person because it is relevant to everybody, especially in today's day when everybody is talking about existential crisis, talking about not knowing, or talking about reasons, finding reasons to live their own life, or there are a lot of students are facing issues related to stress or trauma, or not feeling the willingness to do things. So I think it can be recommended to everybody of that sort, or it can even be recommended to people, I would say, who have found their ikigai, and also to people who are yet to find their ikigai. So this book is an excellent one to read if at all you want to organize your own thoughts and find your own lifestyle and make one for yourself that will give you help you lead a happy and a long life. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nidhi, for presenting a beautiful book of Ikigai, which is going to present the points for the happiness in life. So thank you on behalf of AP State Council of Higher Education for presenting a book review for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.